Oh, I mean, the possibility of a civil war was strongly present because the regime, throughout its rule over 40 or 50 years, he relied heavily on sectarian division, convincing sects that he was their protector, and instilling fear in them of the majority in Syria, exploiting sectarian contradictions significantly. And over the past 14 years, he also practically reinforced this idea and committed many massacres, killing more than 1 million people. Many people were tortured in prisons. You saw them in Sinai being burned with acid, pressed with iron presses, many millions. People were displaced from Syria. Then we formed a fact-finding committee with legal experts, and we gave them deadlines to investigate the facts and verify the observations we witnessed, whether videos or random killings. We also sent another committee to maintain civil peace. It is like a reconciliation between people, so that, because blood leads to more blood. So to stop the bleeding and bloodshed, there must be wise people. This committee is formed from the people of the region there and includes members from 2 large sects present there, like this. For Syria, we confirm that we are a state of law. The law will take its course for everyone. Oh, and basically, we stood up against this regime and reached Damascus to support the oppressed people. God forbid that we accept even a drop of blood to be shed unjustly, and for this blood to go wasted without accountability and punishment, no matter who it is, even if it is the closest or the farthest person to us. There's no difference in these matters. The assault on the sanctity of people, the assault on their blood, on their property, this is a red line in Syria. This is not only a constitutional law, but also a moral law. Some affiliates of the previous regime and those who participated with the regime in the large massacres it committed, especially the 4th Division with its well-known regional connections. They launched an attack. It means a major military attack in the coastal area, which led to the death of a large number of security forces and some civilians, even some civilians from the Alawite sect who were opposing. This group committed these acts, killing a large number of security forces, totaling more than 200 people, some parties. I say there has become almost a regional and international consensus on stabilizing the situation in Syria. But there are some parties that have lost from. The new reality in Syria tries to reinvent itself and has nothing but this cheap commodity that provokes sectarian outcomes. Syria is not, a place for the desires of foreign countries, but it is as the inside wants it, not as the outside wants it, so no state can impose on us how we should be. This is the will of the people, and it determines these paths. Syria does not interfere in the affairs of other countries and impose on them how they should be. Thus, international customs and understandings between the 2 countries have been established. As for the issue of sanctions, the sanctions were imposed for reasons related to massacres committed by the previous regime against the people. And we were part of, from the victims of these massacres. We were the ones hit by chemical weapons. Our cities, villages and towns were bombed. Our people were displaced, and our sons were tortured inside prisons, and so on. The sanctions were imposed for these reasons and can automatically be lifted with the removal of the regime that committed these crimes. Any context in which the United States of America places reasons other than those that caused these sanctions, I think this is not logical, as the sanctions were not imposed to see how Syria's political trajectory would be. Thus, they should be lifted with the regime's removal. This logic we discussed with all our regional and global countries. And then Syria has tasks of maintaining internal security with the significant chaos that occurred to stabilize the security internally. It's closely linked to the economic development in the country. The economic rebuilding in the country cannot happen except with the lifting of the sanctions. We cannot establish security in the country as long as the sanctions are in place. There is a close connection between economic development and security, because this is one basket, meaning that all the issues are interconnected. To be honest, the palace, for me, feels constraining because every time I look at a corner of it, I am amazed at how all this evil could come out of it toward the society. I have a balcony overlooking all of Damascus. So every day when I look at Damascus, I say, how was it? And this previous regime looks at Damascus and belittles what is happening there. As for the palace, I am determined to transform it so that it brings great good for Syria. And I wanted school children to visit it and tour it and get to know it. But I wanted to build many decisions from it that would reach every home in Syria. After that, we will open it to public visits, God willing.